I haven't been happy for years.
18 years, and you think you can just come in here and end it like this? Charles, what am I supposed to do without you?
Look, you're a bright girl. You'll figure it out.
Charles, please.
Yes, ladies, today we will be talking about the wounded feminine. In her brokenness, she can be the most dangerous to herself, but in her becoming phase, she becomes so powerful, so radiant. So today I will be unlocking how Helen depicted the wounded feminine and how she rose through it all. Hi ladies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rose, and today we will be doing something quite interesting. I will be reacting to one of my favorite movies by Diary of a Mad Black Woman. I will basically just be reacting to the character Helen and how she displayed attributes of a wounded feminine, and just sort of giving you a way of how wounded feminine energy looks and how you can heal your wounded feminine. And it's just going to be interesting because I've got quite some strong opinions around her character and how she embodied her feminine energy throughout the movie. I love her character. I love the character of Helen in the movie because she showed the evolution of a woman when she goes into her healing journey. They showed Tyler Perry depicted the whole evolution of how a woman truly heals, and I just want to get into it. So I have my notes in front of me. If you see me looking, it's just my notes. So stay tuned. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're new here, please like and subscribe. Just subscribe, ladies. There's nothing, you're not losing anything by subscribing, but let's get into it. So part one, the phase where Helen is actually wounded. In the first part of the movie, we see Helen having an encounter with her husband where he tells her to leave and go and take her things and leave. That is the first wound that is open to the wound of betrayal and rejection. In the beginning, Helen's husband actually publicly humiliates her by rejecting her and telling her he no longer wants to be in a marriage with her. She goes further to try to push things into a more positive direction, begging him to see things differently, but he still rejects her. He still puts her in a position where she has to shrink herself and sort of feel less than. In the beginning, and when we observe, that kind of rejection is the first blade to her heart. It cleaves to her soul. It hurts her so much so that she starts going into a rage kind of mindset. She is angry and humiliated, but also very helpless. Now let's get into wound two, her suppressed voice. Helen at this point in time is unable to use her voice with power. She's unable to speak up for herself. And even at that point in time, Madea encourages her to stand up for herself and say, hey, you were also a part of this marriage. You built something too. He might have been the financial provider, but you were putting in all your energy over time. And Madea sort of gives her that encouragement to stand up for herself. So at this phase, she's very much in a suppressed kind of attitude. She cannot express herself and she cannot voice what she's feeling. Then we get into wound three, loss of identity. This loss of identity has not only been happening towards the end of her marriage, but even during her marriage. She emphasizes how she used to be everything for this man who in turn didn't give anything in return. That is her identity speaking. And even when she's journaling, she talks about how she doesn't feel like herself. She doesn't feel like she doesn't know how to be herself without Charles.
I don't even know where to begin to pick up the pieces of my life.
Lord have mercy.
That is um I another phase in which you can notice that a woman has lost her identity. That's a wound that we carry as well as a lot of people. We carry the wound of when we grow up and we have people in our lives who give us validation, who give us self worth, we lose our own self worth to the point where we don't even know who we are. We can't even define our lives without these people in our lives. So everything then starts to be about them. How is this person going to fulfill me? How is this person being in my life going to keep me alive, if I can put it in that sense? So Helen is feeling lost, and I love how she uses this time to journal and try to process her emotions. She's not necessarily sitting and allowing these emotions to simmer inside of her, but she's allowing them to come out. And I love that. That is also a phase of healing. The next wound we identify in Helen is rage and numbness. She becomes so angry. She becomes that mad black woman, as we put it. But I love this. I love that she can now take out her emotions and finally not be the woman that is being trampled over. She uses this time when Charles gets this his accident. He got shot in the in that part. He uses that time of his recovery. Oh, sorry. She uses this time of his recovery. She uses that time to take back what she all the emotions that were pent up that she couldn't let go of. So she basically punishes him and she puts him in his place, and it's my favorite part. Like as much as that might have been so harsh and painful to watch, but it was really how can I put it? It's empowering, but I understand where I like the part where her mom comes back to her and says, "Hey, you need to forgive him because if you don't forgive him, he keeps your power." But that's also part of the phase of healing. Healing is not linear, ladies. You're not going to look pretty when you are healing. You're going to be angry at some point in time. You're going to voice your emotions. And even especially as someone who doesn't who never had the opportunity to speak your truth, the minute you start healing is the minute your inner child is going to start saying, "Hey, I want to speak up now. I want to scream. I want to shout." It's like being that baby when you were that baby when you were young and you didn't like something and you wanted something, right? You would scream and shout and you would be mad and you would be angry and you would scream so much so that even the people around you wouldn't be able to control you. That's the how empowering I feel that scene is, because she's taking back her power. He might have taken it away by making her and breaking her, but when she comes back and she tells him, "Hey, I was there for you," and she fights him on it, she allows herself to heal. And that's why we get into the phase where we start seeing her slowly um, let go of what Charles has done to her. Because even when Charles re re-propose, or how can I put it, proposes to her, which I feel is so radical, crazy, right? I got so annoyed at that point in time because I was like, no. But yes, Charles proposes to her and she says no because she's healed. She's let go of all those emotions. She's processed them. And then wound 5, difficulty receiving love. Helen not only finds it hard to figure out who she is, but then she finds it very difficult to allow anyone else into her heart at this point in time. She meets Orlando, who is clearly very much in love with her and respects her, but she cannot allow him in yet because she's not at that phase where she's ready to receive that love. Part 2, the law of attraction. Now, the question is, did Helen create all of this? All these things that have been happening throughout her life, do we believe that she created it? And the short answer to that is yes. Life is a mirror, and everything that is happening to us comes from our beliefs, the things we've gone through in our childhood, and who we have become throughout that journey. So, Helen might have had emotions stored up in her from her childhood that were unprocessed, that allowed her to attract a man who would reject her over and over again, even in marriage and eventually outside of marriage. Now, this does not mean that Helen did something wrong. No, it just means that her life was depicted in the way she experienced it in her childhood. We all go through this. That's why I say we all need to heal at some point. Everybody needs to take some time to look at their life and heal themselves and truly look at your life and say, hey, what is going on in my life and what do I want to change and what don't I want to see happening anymore in my life. If you don't like something, you can change it. But truly, it does begin with you. You are the mirror. So when I say she attracted all of this, it's because that's how she felt about herself internally. She did not think she was worthy. She did not think she was meant to meet a man who would honor her and admire her and respect her. And she felt the need to be that giver, to always take care. And the funny thing is, when this painful thing happens to Charles, she runs back to save him. The very person that mistreated her, she runs back to save that man. Now, many people might say, I wouldn't personally have done that if I was um, Helen. But I understand. I understand when you grow up in a house, when you grow up in a household where you are being conditioned to live like that, to constantly give and give and give, you become that person for everyone and but not for yourself. So yes, she did attract this, and I want to unpack it properly in the next few slides. Part 3, where healing begins. We see in the movie that Helen goes through a great a phase where she sort of becomes this woman who is whole, and she doesn't look for anyone to define who she is. She's journaling, she's asking herself these important questions like, how do I feel about being alone? Why can't I just feel okay just living my life? And at some point there's a scene where she is in working in the shop. I don't know if it's a coffee shop or what, but she's working, and she says to herself, I'm starting to I'm starting to like this version of me who is not defined by anyone else. That's where healing begins. Healing begins in the mind. Ladies, no one is going to heal you. No one is going to come and take away that pain. You need to look at it head on. And it starts with you actually looking at yourself and saying, who am I? Asking yourself those important questions that are holding you back from living the life that you want. Having a diary where you clock every single thought that you carry in your mind right now. What thoughts do I have running rampage on my mind? Do I believe that I am even worthy of love? Do I believe that I'm worthy of abundance or financial abundance for that matter? You know, so these are the questions we need to ask ourselves as women who are trying to heal and trying to grow. Ask yourself the important questions, and this is a continuous process. It does not stop. Healing does not stop. So even in your journey, when you feel whole, the universe and God is going to give you more lessons. And one thing a quote that I remember getting from the movie, I will not mention this movie, but she tells her daughter, she's like, my love, it does not get better in relationships with a man. You just learn more about yourself, and that's something that I've carried throughout my life now. That idea that, okay, things might not get easier for me. I might not have everything figured out, but I will learn so much more about myself and carry those lessons into my relationships. And so far, I'm really much, I feel whole once again. I feel like myself. So, yeah. Now, this is the last phase, part four, which is I'm going to give you practical ways, 5 practical tips on how to heal your wounded feminine energy. So, yeah.
So, number one, reclaim safety in your body. The wounded feminine often lives in survival mode, hypervigilance, tension, and disconnection. So, we want to connect with ourselves once again. Start working on healing your nervous system, feeling safe once again. We can always start with practices such as breath work, inhaling and exhaling. Also, somatic healing practices are very good at this time. Number two, nurture yourself without guilt. The wounded feminine often tends to give endlessly but struggles to receive. So, a good practice to do is to start doing small acts of self nourishment, taking long baths, reading under the sunlight, preparing your favorite meal, resting without any guilt. When guilt arises, softly remind yourself receiving is sacred and rest is productive. Ladies, we need to rest. We need to allow our feminine to feel safe once again. This is a way of reparenting your inner child by giving her what she never got. It is key in restoring your feminine essence. Number three, express, don't suppress. The feminine is emotion in motion, but the wounded feminine hides her feelings out of fear of rejection or judgment. Practice creating a safe ritual for release, journaling moments where you feel strong emotions, crying or even screaming into your pillow, allowing yourself to release all these pent up emotions stored in your body. Try writing letters to your younger self or your mother. You don't have to send them to your mother as per se, but just write down anything to anyone who made you feel less than or who you feel is a part of your wound. Allowing your emotions to flow without shame clears energy blockages in your heart and your womb. Number four, rebuild trust in your intuition. The wounded feminine doubts her inner knowing, often because she was taught to trust others over her own voice. A practice to follow is, before making a decision, place your hand over your heart and ask yourself, what feels peaceful and what feels heavy? Keep a journal for yourself so that you can root into your intuition. And always, always lead with your gut feeling. Trust your intuition, ladies. Number five, restore connection with sacred feminine. The healed feminine feels one with nature, the moon, and the divine practice. Surround yourself with symbols of the feminine. For example, flowers, gentle music, feminine mentors. Always surround yourself with positive feminine energy symbols. Also, allow yourself to be rooted in God. This time, you're going to need a lot of spiritual grounding, and you will receive that from God. In my next video, I will be speaking about God and rooting into our inner goddess. So please stay tuned. If you came this far into the video, thank you so much. I am grateful for you. I am grateful for your presence in my channel. I hope you've received something of value and you continue to heal in your feminine. Thank you once again. Love and light.